We ready? Looks like 6 o'clock. Good evening and welcome to tonight's public hearing on October 20th, 2025. This hearing is being called by the Select Board to provide information and allow public comment regarding the discontinuance of Old Post Road by abandonment. We are also joined tonight by Town Council to provide legal insights into the process of road abandonment. Before we begin, I'd like to cover some general housekeeping items. This hearing is to hear questions and comments on the information presented during the public hearing. Members of the public will be called upon by the Select Board Chair, ensuring that everyone who wishes to participate has an opportunity to do so. When called upon, please step up to the mic on the podium, state your name and your town of residence. We ask that audience members be respectful and refrain from side conversations. Any individuals who are continuously disruptive may be asked to leave the hearing. Thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. The floor is now open for public comment.
Anybody's asking any questions?
I like to hear from you guys. I mean, I know I have some information from you as to why we're doing this, but I'd like to hear what your thoughts are.
Well, maybe if I could.
I would love it. Please do.
My name is Rex Powell. I'm an attorney practicing in Biddeford and happen to live in Lyman, kitty corner. This sounds almost like this is probably the first time this procedure's come before you. There are a number of residents on the Old Post Road who initially approached me and asked me if I could assist them in having the road declared by the selectmen as being abandoned in one of the under a statutory requirement. There's a couple of ways of determining either the discontinuance or abandonment of a road. One is a formal discontinuance process. The other is what's called common law abandonment. You can get a court declaration that the road's been abandoned. And then there's also the statutory abandonment section, which says if the town hasn't maintained a road for a period of 30 years, it can make a declaration that the road has been abandoned and then it no longer has any duties with respect to the road. Normally, that would probably be something that would be initiated by the select board. But in this case, the owners on the road have petitioned the town to formally reach a declaration or issue a declaration that the road has been abandoned. The purpose of which is to allow them to kind of take over the responsibility for the maintenance of the road and provide a mechanism where an owners association or road maintenance association could be formed. And I'm as a taxpayer in Lyman, I guess I'm in favor of this because there can be no argument after it's been abandoned upon a petition by the owners that the town ever has any responsibility with respect to maintenance of the road or responsibility for it. And I think there are a number of people here who could speak to it as to their reasons for wishing that to be done. But I think what I've said really is the essence of the reason for doing this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Brad?
After the residents had raised this issue with the town, talked about it with the town manager, we had done this process about a year or two ago, Old Kennebunk Road. And so the town internally did some of its own investigation, thought that the road probably did qualify for that because of the lack of public maintenance. So I prepared kind of a recommendation of the procedure to be followed under the statute. First, gather some evidence, which the residents were good enough to supply. Also, the town could search its own records, talk to its own people about whether there had been any town maintenance recommended do some of that investigation before the public hearing. Then we schedule a public meeting of the select board and provide notice to all the affected owners at least 30 days prior to the meeting. So I worked with the town manager to prepare the notices to contain the information that's required under the statute, which is 23 Maine Revised Statutes 3028A. And so that we had to provide notice about what was being proposed to declare abandoned, their rights about maintaining it, and also a notice about what would happen if the town retained a public easement or did not. Okay, we can talk about that further. So under the statute, people can request a public hearing. I recommended that the board conduct a public hearing regardless of whether they received requests for a public hearing. Then I recommended that at this hearing, the board receive evidence from everyone about whether it had been maintained in the past, and then take a public vote whether to declare it abandoned and whether or not to retain public easement. If the board votes in favor of public easement, the public would still have a right to pass, but the town would not have any obligation to maintain. If no public easement was retained, then there would not be any public rights of access. So the town probably should just receive some information about whether the access needs to be retained. Obviously, people might be concerned about landlocking themselves or anything like that. Then after that, there's a appeal period in which it can go in front of the town board of appeals. When that period passes, assuming there was an affirmative vote to declare it abandoned, then the town would file a certificate in the registry of deeds to provide notice that it had been abandoned. I prepared one of those as well, similar to what we did on the old Kennebuck Road maybe a couple of years ago. So I think that would be the procedure. I think maybe we should invite some people just to present some information about what we know in terms of it being maintained over the last 30 years. We cannot, let's see here. The town can't declare a townway discontinued by abandonment if evidence is presented that the town expended funds for a portion of the road for more than 84 months of the period of 30 or more consecutive years. Is just the way that the statute's written. But if there's no evidence that we've been maintaining it for a long time, then we've satisfied that requirement.
Okay.
Could you please identify yourself, sir?
I'm sorry, Brad Moran, serve legal counsel for the town.
You're the next one.
I serve as legal counsel for the town.
Okay.
Yep. No problem. Sorry, should have done that right over. Thank you.
For the, Brad, would you like somebody who has been here for the last 40 years, present some evidence?
That would be
the town has. Yeah, so somebody, I think everybody's been on that road for that long. I don't know, Rachel, if you'd like.
Rachel Daigle. I'm part of the Morissette Farm. I live in Lyman, but I don't live on the Old Post Road at this time. The farm, our cemetery is on the Old Post Road.
Brad, the width of the road. And was there other materials that?
It looks like the town actually, it's part of everything that was sent around.
Okay.
We have it. We
Yep.
pretty much have the whole record.
Great.
Yeah. I know the road was described as 4 rods and 3 rods. No one really knows.
Does anybody else want to speak to this?
Go ahead, Jeff. No, I just recently bought on that road. My name is Brad Staples. So I was just here to ask that anyone that has land or owns land on that road or off the side street there, are they going to continue to have access to their land or property? and from both directions or their cemetery. And I just wanted to make sure that it was specified both directions due to power lines, trees, fire. You know, if you have a fire and fire trucks come in one end, the other ambulance is going to be able to come in the other end to help people. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to get shut off in any way to anyone that has anything to do on that street. Does anybody have the answer to that?
Well, I think that if the board votes to.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If the board votes to declare it's discontinued, the ownership reverts to the owners on either side. If they don't retain a public easement, people would have to rely on other theories or easement rights or whatever in terms of accessing it. If they do retain a public easement, then you don't have to worry about that. Everyone still has a right to travel.
So I think that's what are we all in agreement that we want a public easement? So everybody has the right to use the road?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the most important thing.
In fact, I think in our initial petition, we said we should retain a public easement.
So, but they'll have to make a vote on both those things, both discontinuance, declaring it discontinued, and then voting whether to retain it.
Because we all take care of it now. And
Yeah. And that's what we did a couple of years ago in a similar situation. And that got recorded in the registry of deeds that way, so that you wouldn't have any title problems in the future, if anyone looking about whether you have access over that road.
And that includes the people off the side street too.
I don't know if
When you go down Old Post Road, there's one road to the right and there's 3 houses down there. Will that include their access as well to use? Old
everyone
Post
could use Old Post Road, yeah.
Okay, if it's a town public easement, then everybody could use it.
Yeah, but the town just won't be doing any work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Just for the attorney, I just want to make sure that, I know it's being recorded at the Registry of Deeds, but should it be recorded at Department of Transportation also? Because that's kind of where we got into, it had not been released from there.
Yes, I believe they have to, when they do the certificate of discontinuance, and they have to send a copy to DOT.
They do.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on this? All right. I don't see any more further public comment, or anybody that wants to. This will conclude the public hearing. The board will now close the public hearing and open into the regular select board meeting. I thank you all for attending. I would entertain a motion to, if you all are ready, to
Do you want
move
to do the
things
Pledge
out
of
of
Allegiance
order.
first? I think we have to open.
Yes, Billy will open the select board meeting, but I will ask that we open the select board meeting, and could you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance
To
the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation.
Issue of discontinuance of abandonment and retaining public easement, if that's what the board's inclined to do.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yeah.
So you said earlier during the hearing, I thought you said it would be 2 separate motions.
Well, it's 2 separate issues.
Okay, it
I
can
mean,
be
you can
as
vote
one motion.
however you
Okay.
want. I
Okay.
think just make those 2 findings. And actually, maybe before we even do that, maybe we should take them up separately, do a vote finding, declare that it's gonna be abandoned.
And then the public.
Because do we find that it hasn't been maintained for the statutory period? And then should we do a
Public
retain a
easement.
public easement, and then maybe adopt the language of this proposed thing? Because I'm gonna use that in the certificate of filing registry of deeds.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think sufficient evidence has been presented that the town has not been attending to this road for 30 years and more. So I think the criteria has been met.
Do you want to make a motion so we can discuss it?
So moved.
I didn't make a motion yet. Want to make a motion?
Sure. Somebody do it.
Okay,
No,
make
no,
a
no,
motion to
sorry.
declare abandonment of Old Post Road beginning at the intersections of Alewi Road and running a distance of approximately 0.43 miles in a generally southwesterly direction to the intersection of, is it Day Road?
Day Road.
Day Road and, period.
There it is.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, I will make a motion to declare, to keep the public easement for the abandoned portion of Old Post Road for all purposes allowed by main law, travel by foot, motor vehicle, and utilities.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Brad, do you want this copy?
So I'll prepare that certificate for your review, and then, after, I believe it's a 10-day period, so we can't do anything until that period comes out. We'll record everything, send a copy to the DOT.
Good.
Okay.
So then we'll go back to our agenda.
Thanks.
The rest of our
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks for coming.
Come back to another meeting. It's nice having you
Stick
here.
around.
You all are welcome to stay.
We have chocolates to pass out.
When I do the minutes, I'm gonna put that in the meeting minutes. Yeah. I can, they'll be posted, like, they're accessible if you want the meeting minutes. Or I can send them to you. Okay. What is,
CI.
oh,
My husband took the map there. Silly, CILLE. The last
Seconds?
one L.
okay,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'll do it if you like.
We still have more meeting to go, so we'll move on to unfinished business, item 3, the franchise agreement.
Okay.
Updates with Brad and Warren and Tony Viggy,
Okay.
please.
Do you want me to mail it to you?
How are you, Tony?
Yeah. Thank you for
It's
being
been a
here.
long time. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. I see
Yeah.
lots of friendly faces here. For those who don't know me, Tony Vigil, live in Standish, and I serve as a consultant, a renewal consultant for the town, working for the select board and the town attorney, working with them. I retired after 21 years with the city of South Portland, serving as their community television manager over there. And I've been involved with cable franchise renewals since the mid-'80s, currently assisting 11 other towns in southern Maine besides Lyman with their renewals. Little background, I served on and was chair of the board of the Community Television Association of Maine, CTAM for short, for 31 years, and now serve on the board of its successor, the Maine Community Media Association, MCMA. I'll refer to those again in a minute. And it's been a while since I was here, so I brought some handouts as a refresher course on the renewal process. For those of you who may be interested, Lindsay has some, and I've got more if there's any needed. I've been assisting Lyman since 2015 on a number of franchise and ordinance-related issues, including renewal, line extensions, franchise fee discussions with Charter, most of which have been sadly unproductive. The reluctance of Charter to agree to even the most basic town requirements in a timely manner, the onset of COVID, and the subsequent creation and passage of 2 important bills that directly impacts all franchise renewals have contributed to the delays that we've seen over this period of time. The bills which I co-authored while at CTAM and MCMA are now public law, and one of them is designated Public Law 245, which provides additional municipal benefits and prevents the discrimination of community television channels by the cable operators, and also LD 1967, which supports municipal franchise agreements in this age of streaming media. It also updates the main model franchise. I'm proposing that a representative or multiple representatives of the board work with Attorney Moran and myself to merge that new model franchise agreement with the existing one that we had come to with Charter, so that we don't lose anything that we had already negotiated. And work together to come up with a new franchise that incorporates the best of both of those. Open to any questions if there are any. I have other information if you need it. Yes.
So we sent them the revisions back in 2024. And
So-
then,
The latest draft that I had of the franchise we were negotiating with them was on 3/7/23, and there may have been others after that that I'm not aware of.
okay, I had 2024 at least was an update on it, but now there's a new model one.
Yes. The update you referred to was some minor language changes that we made. Yes, I remember that.
And the new model one has the cable company seen that, or have they
Here's-
commented on it, or?
Here's the story on that.
What's that?
Here's the story on that. Our group worked to create the new Maine model franchise based on the original Maine model franchise, which was passed back in 2005, I believe. And we came up with one, working with an attorney, Cynthia Pauls is her name, who is from Brunswick, but she worked her whole life in Washington, D.C. And she was there in 1984 and was on the committee that created the 1984 Telecommunications Act. And she has worked with nonprofits throughout that time on the fringes of telecommunications law. So we had a good person to help us with that. Since the Maine model franchise was retained by the Office of Information Technology at the state of Maine, they subsequently delegated the repose of that document and the updating of that document, which is enshrined in state law that says they are responsible, to the Maine Connectivity Authority, which serves under the Office of Information Technology. And the Maine Connectivity Authority hired a consultant to review the document that we sent them. And they did, in fact, talk with the industry. I'm not sure who they spoke with. We were not privy to that information. But when it came back, it contained, as you may imagine, a number of things that are not required by any state or federal law, but are obviously beneficial to the cable operators. For that reason, we're recommending that the towns take a look at it to see what it contains, and also look at the one that we sent them and choose which of the two you want to start out with when you negotiate with Charter. While it could be said that Charter is more agreeable to the one that they probably had a hand in creating, as I said, there is nothing in that document that is required by state or federal law. It is just language that is favorable to the cable operator. And I can get into the nitty gritty of that language when we meet to discuss what we're going to use in your final language. I won't bore you with it here tonight. But
Is
that's
the new model better for us?
Yes, infinitely.
So would you?
There are portions of yours that I would not give up, however, that Charter has already agreed to, and we can discuss that when we meet. Yeah?
So are they signing on to this model agreement with other towns?
Not yet. It just was finalized last month by MCA and posted by MCA on their website. Our version has been around for several months.
Do you recommend that we just tweak ours again?
Yes.
Send it back to them with
Look,
these things?
looking at those other documents, yes. That's my recommendation.
If it's okay, I can send the link of all three of those things, the one that expired in 2016, the one that MCMA had, and the MCA's, if that makes it easier. It's just three
Mhm.
hyperlinks.
Yeah, I'd like to get the old one. I have some.
The old one's
I'll send it to
online.
Lindsay and she
Yeah.
can,
It's
that's
actually
okay.
online. Cable operators are required by law to post all franchises online, the current franchise that they have online. And Charter has done that. There is no policeman to go through every one of the 397 franchises to make sure the most current one is up there. But it's required by law for them to do that. So hopefully they're doing it. I sent you the link to that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the last time we touched this was in March of '04.
Okay.
I don't remember getting a response for that. So,
March of when?
of 2000, not 04, 2024.
24,
I
yes.
was gonna say,
Right.
holy
So I was
smokes.
gonna say,
Yeah.
I thought he meant 24.
I don't know, it feels like we're kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, feels that way.
Wasting, I mean, or we could send them what they had in 2024.
mhm.
We could just say, here's the model. And switch to the model.
I'd like to send them something definitive from us saying, here's what we have. This is what we agreed to, and it incorporates the language that you had previously agreed to, plus the new main model franchise.
Okay.
Which they're obliged to certainly pay attention to. There's portions of it, of course, that reference state law. In fact, it's full of references to state law, requiring them to do certain things that they've never done before. They don't like this. We're currently in discussions with the Attorney General's office and the Greater Portland Council of Government, which carries some weight on behalf of the towns. For one particular thing, Charter has not agreed to update the transmission equipment in the town offices to high definition. That equipment belongs to Charter. They have always updated it in the past when there was a change in technology. Like, for instance, when it went from analog to digital, they updated it. When the device failed, it was called a modulator back then, or a fiber transmitter. They repaired it or replaced it at no charge to the town. But now, because high definition is the normal standard, they're refusing to update their own equipment and want to shift the cost of doing that onto the towns. So GPCOG and the MCMA created a letter to the Office of the Attorney General. And as of 2 weeks ago, the Attorney General's office said they have made contact with Charter about it, but there hasn't been anything decided yet. So that's just one thing that's going on. Charter is a very big company. They own 99% of the franchises in Maine. The other one is Comcast. They own 15 franchises in Maine. There's a couple more smaller companies. I know Charter just bought Beeline Cable up in the Farmington area. That's a little bit of history and some anecdotal information there for you.
Sorry, Tony, were you referring to the public education government access TV?
Yeah, those three components that a town is permitted to have. And in fact, your existing franchise gives you 2 channels on the cable system to use, but it doesn't provide any funding for it. As you know, you don't get a franchise fee yet. We tried. We sent a letter to Charter saying we want you to start implementing the franchise fee, and they haven't done that. So it's a matter of enforcement. The towns don't typically have a policeman that they can require cable companies to do if they fold their arms and say, we don't want to do that. However, this latest legislation that we got passed, we tried to get the PUC to act as a policeman to regulate cable operators, and they would have none of it. However, they did say that they would provide mediation and arbitration services if a town has a complaint and they bring it forward through the PUC's regular complaint procedure. They would provide those services. So that's an option we never had before. The other option towns had was to hire a lawyer and go sue the cable company. And you can imagine how many towns want to do that. So at least we have some, leg hold. Plus, the Office of the Attorney General has been very receptive to anything that the public education governmental channels have asked within state law to do. They helped us with language in both laws that were passed, correcting us when we were trying to ask for things that couldn't be asked for, and just directing us generally in the right direction. So they've been very helpful to us.
Tony, is Charter and then Spectrum
Comcast.
the only ones?
Charter is the corporation. Spectrum,
Right. Is that all that's here in Maine, or do we have other options that we can at least look at whether or not we go with
I'll
them?
answer that. Spectrum is the product.
Yes.
And they like to be known as Spectrum because it's not as it doesn't carry as much baggage with it as the Charter Corporation does. So then there is Comcast and Xfinity. That's their product. And those are the two major players in this state. Coming along are streaming companies who stream video for communities, Fidium Fiber and Consolidated, two that I can think of right off the top of my head. Great Works Internet, GWI is another one. I don't know if you have any of those in this town or not, but streaming companies don't need a franchise agreement unless they offer an application that can carry channels like cable companies do. And they own facilities on the public right of way, those two things. So entities like Netflix, Hulu, Roku, those things will never have a franchise because they don't own facilities on the public right of way. But fiber operators like Fidium or even AT&T or other companies like that, if they just offer streaming services, streaming internet services, they don't need a franchise either, according to the new law. But once they offer an application that has channel selectivity on it, like a cable company does, then they need to get a franchise with the town.
Franchises aren't exclusive, right?
They're non-exclusive, that's correct.
Comcast or whatever, they're also. coming
Exactly.
down if they want.
I will tell you, they have gentlemen's agreements to stay out of each other's territories, because when competitors move in, that divides the profits in half, and neither one of them like that to happen. So they generally stay out of each other's territories, although we're seeing some streaming companies come in and make inroads into previously just Charter territory.
Isn't there also something in the franchise agreement where it says you could have another one there, but the pay has to be the same?
Yes,
Like this
they
can't be
can't-
less, they can,
They
yeah.
can't have an.
So it doesn't really give us any benefit for
Right.
the cost.
Yeah. And by the way, there's nothing in state or federal law that has that point in it. But that's one of the points I just spoke about
Yeah.
that Charter wants in their
Mhm.
franchise agreements. So it's just a back and forth between attorneys, I guess.
How do we go about finding out what other options there are, like the vitamins, to see Xfinity, to see if it's in the area? I have nowhere, I have like 2 days of experience with this, don't you?
I can look it up.
Okay,
I'll see if they serve the town of Lyman. I have a list of them.
I would think the residents, at the very least, we can look into other
Mhm.
options for them.
I can tell you if they do get a different service, it won't have the town information on it as a cable channel. It would be on YouTube, for instance, like you do now. So that's,
The other
Still
PG
available.
or whatever it is, we don't use.
Hmm?
We don't use that currently.
what do you use? How do you?
YouTube,
How do you use YouTube?
Correct.
Yeah, good. That's fine. It's great to be in a town that believes in open government and sharing what goes on at town hall. Most towns have come around to doing that now. In the beginning, I can tell you, it was like pulling hen's teeth. You just couldn't convince a selectman until it actually happened. And people come up to them in the grocery store and say, I saw you on TV. Then they realize it's a tool that they can use to sell the things that they're trying to get done in the town to the public. And that's worked over and over again in my career. There's a new public works garage, very nice one in South Portland, because we showed how bad the old one was. There's a consolidated police and fire department, because they used to be separate till we had a big emergency over there. And we televised that. So if you inform your public about what the needs are, what you're working on in your budget, it's great. And there's no discussion at voting time. They know what you've been working on.
what do you recommend for Brad for the next step? I don't even know where to go next.
Yep.
Just
Do we-
meet with me and whoever from the select board, or if you don't want to, we'll just work together. That's fine, to come up with a document we can send back to Charter and say, here's the next one.
I'll send you what I had.
Great.
Last time, and then if you could help by pointing out what's the most important stuff, because some of the stuff is going
Yeah.
over my head. I don't know,
Sure.
I don't know what some of these things are, what they even mean, head
Yep.
end, things like that.
That's just the point where all the fiber comes together.
Okay.
Yep.
So maybe we can,
It's in Sebago for you guys.
we can just kind of, identify the bullet point where we
Yep.
need to plug these things in.
Sure. Be
And-
happy to do that.
Also, just to recap, like the last time you guys were working on revising this, I think it was primarily Tony and Brad worked on it. They redlined the document and then we would bring that here
Mhm.
to talk with you guys. I think you guys would answer any questions. If there was something you felt like needed to be changed, they'd go back, redline it again, come back here. So I would imagine something similar to that.
We'll take the last agreed upon one that we
Yeah.
had from Charter. And if there's red lines in it, we'll certainly present them to you again if we didn't make a decision before.
Right.
If I remember correctly, because it was a while ago, we kind of paused this because of those laws that
Yep,
you guys were working,
Those
that
two
was
bills.
working on getting
Yeah.
passed, yeah.
yep, that's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, the ordinance, I had a question. We were working on a cable ordinance, Brad and I, said was,
Well, that's what was, I think, back in March of 2004.
oh, 2024.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2024. I see that was revised cable ordinance.
Okay, so we need to find out, I think we sent it to Shelley, but I don't know if it came back. The latest draft I had was 5/31/23, but like you said, there may be one later than that.
I think that my opinion, I don't know how important the ordinance needs to be. It can be pretty generic.
Yeah, it doesn't need to
I think
be,
I tried to keep it very
You did.
generic. in
You
terms
did.
of What we did, because all the details that negotiated.
Are in the
in agreement
franchise.
itself.
right. The ordinance just as a general outline for how the cable operator is supposed to operate in your town, just like an ordinance for other things that you
All the details.
want to make sure happen when an entity moves into town.
Is there any changes that you're aware of in state law that affect our ordinance?
No.
Good thing.
Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I don't mean to prolong the discussion, but does the pending merger of Charter with Cox complicate things?
No. In fact, I sent Carrie Jo a note about that this afternoon. I
All
had
right.
the Maine Community Media Association take a look at it. She said, I'll read you the note. It's in my sent folder, Town of Lyman. She said, I believe that the Lyman franchise does not cover changes in control of ownership, but rather applies only to the transfer of the franchise itself, or that is how Charter is choosing to interpret it. So in other words, because they're changing the ownership, corporate ownership, your franchise doesn't get into that. It only talks about if your franchise gets transferred to another company,
Okay.
which it's not going to be. It's going to still stay with Charter.
It's interesting because the franchise itself did change because our old agreement is with, I don't know, whatever, Delphium that you had before.
Right.
Kenny Bunk, cable TV, the
Yeah.
Kenny Bunks, and then Adelphia, and then
Missed
Time Warner,
opportunity,
and
yeah.
then Charter, yeah.
And I think the reason is because they can be assigned. And the only time you can object it, well,
Yeah,
if there's a change of ownership, they can seek your consent, but it can't be unreasonably
Right.
withheld.
Yeah.
So that's kind of toothless. In my opinion,
Yeah.
they can pretty much
you got it.
assign it.
It's an empty paragraph.
Yeah, because if you withheld consent, it could only be, you'd have to be with reasonableness.
Mhm.
And frankly, if it's a company that's financially responsible to take on something that big, I don't really know what the grounds would be for withholding consent.
Thank you.
Happy to answer any other questions. I'm always available, you know that.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
So just whenever you guys are ready, you'll let
Yes,
Lindsay know and we'll
Yep.
get it back on the agenda.
we'll be emailing and copying you.
Cool.
Anybody needs any more information about me, I've discovered you can Google Tony Vigor, Maine, and all kinds of stuff pops up on it.
Oh,
But don't look-
Infamous,
Don't look at the
infamous.
one from New York, because he makes horror movies, it's not me.
Okay. Thanks for all your help, Tony. Appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
your patience.
Really
All my
appreciate your
questions.
time and effort. Alrighty.
When I was looking back, I haven't invoiced you guys since December of 2024, but I have over 95 messages back and forth between since then. So I haven't left you in the dark. I'm trying to keep everybody up to date.
Wasn't pre.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056E, discussion regarding consultations with legal counsel, and 1 MRSA 4056A, discussions regarding personnel matters.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Should these two be handled separately in two distinct executive sessions, one after another?
Well, that was my understanding.
Mhm.
I don't know if
So
I
then I'll amend
misunderstood.
my emotion, not my emotion, I'll amend my motion to go into executive session for 1 MRSA 4056E, discussion regarding consultations with legal counsel.
Second.
The second, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm just surrendering my writing documents so that
Oh,
that we
okay.
know